Budokai Z. Man, where do I even begin with this game? For starters, let's actually talk about how I found the game, shall we? So there I was one day, looking through some DBZ games on Roblox that wasn't just another simulator. And since DBOG loves to take 1,000 years just to, release some mid-updates, and Xeno Multiverses needs to do another re-release for the 80th time, I needed to find something to fill me up, Something to fill me up in the meantime. And that was when I accidentally stumbled upon the game, Budokai Z. And after paying, I know, 200 Robux, a little steep, and I know it's used to better the game, solo dev and all that, and I do support my smaller people. I just don't like the idea of asking people to pay before you play, right? And closed community games kind of rub me the wrong way, and also the game's kind of not playable on the console, so that's a little bit of an audience. Ranting aside, we get into the game, and the creator, Bane, implemented an interesting thing that I don't think I've seen in any Dragon Ball Z game on Roblox, and that is, well, you don't get to choose your race, as whatever race you choose is random. The race is random. And I know that sounds dumb and stupid for a game you just paid for, but honestly, I kind of like this idea. It makes the world feel a lot more diverse and not just everybody being, oh, look, it's just your average Saiyan. Oh, look, it's just your average Frieza race, you know what I mean, or your Crozian, whatever you want to call it, right? But anyways, when I got my first slot, it was a Yard Rat. And I really didn't care for Yard Rat, so I spent a little bit of some Robuckabus, and I got myself a second slot, and thankfully, I got a Saiyan, which I know sounds dummy hypocritabus. It's dummy hypocritical. But just so you know, if you're ever thinking that different races are, stronger than others, just know that no matter what race you are, you could be just as strong as any other race. Like, the comparison is basically to the Master Roshi and Jiren. When I did get into the game, I landed on Planet Vegeta, and outside of the beginner missions, I really didn't know what to do. That was when another fellow Saiyan helped me out by getting me money for a pod and letting me leech off him so that way I can get both Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2. Everything was running smoothly. Things were like butter. You know what I'm saying? The bread, toast, the garlic. But then, he wanted to do a little father-son dynamic, like Goku and Gohan. And as someone else who is not another 13-year-old in this game, decided to distance myself from this guy, as I felt extremely uncomfortable with that. And so, I unfriended him. A day later, I was just chilling, minding my business. And then, he came from behind, and told me not to leave the game as he was disappointed with me betraying the family? Like, out of all the people, I know this game is small, like 60 people small, but like, bro, you will run into the same people sometimes that have a vendetta against you. Even if, you're just chilling after class, was a dismissed, sitting there, minding your black behind a business. Naturally, I left the game, obviously, as I realized that since this game is so small that you'll see the same people, and this game was just extremely weird, and I just wasn't really feeling it mostly. We fast forward to a year later, and I'm scrolling through YouTube, just shooting the breeze with my friend Fedos, and I see this YouTuber named Chloe making some content on the game, amassing many subscribers. And I said, I thought it was really funny. That guy. I thought he was a pretty good dude. And I said, you know what, I might give this game another chance. I logged back into the game, and I wanted to say, alright, no longer playing, time to go Super Saiyan. But nothing happened. So I was saying, you know what to do? Super Saiyan 2. And still, nothing happened. It was only while playing with my friend that they implemented a fewer new mechanics that, he was able to get adapted to, but I wasn't, right? Primarily this thing called a skill tree. So while I did have my skills already mastered, Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2, I needed to re-unlock them by using these things called Z points that you can get, while doing quest missions, raids, story missions, and fighting Beerus and Broly. Now, if you want to know more on what these things are and other stuff like that, I'll link their Trello, which is basically just a wiki, down in their description below. But back to the story, they started me off at 300k BP, power level, battle power, shadoobie. So, I needed to get stronger, gotta get them gains. So, I went to Chloe's channel and followed his advice on how to level up to get stronger. And I definitely recommend it while grinding. But just note that of all these DBZ Roblox games, outside of DBLJ, in terms of grindiness, this one truly takes the cake. The sheer Gouda, the sheer cheddar, right? it really takes that cake whole. As of writing this, I only made it to about, I think it was like 3.6 million BP. And that was after putting at least full 8-hour shifts of work for like a week in. Like, I understand you want your realism of actual training and stuff similar to that. But you kind of got to realize, man, that people have lives. Yet again, I don't know why I have to keep reiterating this. People have lives and can't really keep up with people who can play this game 24/7 and never leave their homes, in their basement. It's just bad sometimes. Despite my blariness, this game has some good and some bad. So let's get into it, shall we? The good. In terms of the community, there are many that are very, 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 very extremely friendly. Open arms, sweet, grandmothers baking pies, right? And since this game lets you do factions, basically clans, you can join the respective discords. Oh, excuse me. The blue app is what you have to say. Never mind the fact that someone said the P word and that didn't get censored, but referencing a real life application is apparently the worst thing to happen since the existence of Kingdom Hearts. Seriously, don't play this game. Don't play that garbage. My current faction I'm in is called The Last Hope, and they're a pretty, really cool, good group of people who like to keep mutuals with other empires and help out whenever need be. Link in the description. Another really cool thing that I like about this game is that not only can you go into space by using your space pod, but there are actual different planets with their temperatures and layouts. And not to mention, a little bit of a fun fact, is that all these planets actually spin very slowly, but they do spin. While in space, you can fight and mine these things called Kachin shards and give it to this forager so that way you can upgrade your gear to make it even stronger. Elaborating more on this planet point, I love that depending on where you are, that there is a temperature feature that depending on how hot or cold it is, will make your fatigue go up higher. So if you want the best gains in terms of training, I'd recommend using your shadow on the planet Polaris. As while Vampa does have Broly on it, for the convenience, I definitely would stay on Polaris. And then, when you wait an hour to fight Broly and Beerus, because there's a cooldown after fighting Broly and Beerus, you should go to Earth to fight Beerus, who is more conveniently placed near the Capsule Corp instead of like Korn's Tower for some reason. And then afterwards, head to Vampa and Shadow Dummy until it's time for Broly. Once you defeat Broly, go back to Polaris and train until it's about to be an hour on, both Broly and Beerus' cooldowns. And then rinse and repeat. Also, every hour, if you go to Namek, there will be a Frieza raid where you'll have to fight waves of enemies that will lead to the final battle with Frieza. While doing those raids, you'll get really cool gear from chests and Dragon Balls to summon Shenron, scrolls to unlock moves for the skill tree, and more. The same is said with Cell raids, as it's the same concept like Frieza raids, except it's a bit harder to enter since you'll have to be about 1 million battle power, or power level, whatever you want to call it, and getting others is definitely recommended. Unless you're a double-digit basement dwelling million BP, then you'll be fine. And also there's a scroll that many people want called the Dragon Scroll. No, not that Dragon Scroll, you goober. This one contains Goku's iconic Super Saiyan 3 move, Dragon Fist, and is extremely rare. People would trade anything just to get a whiff, a sniff, a little phlegm of that item. So if you have it, you could use it for yourself. Or you could trade to others for good items. Or give it to me, please. Please to give it to me. I need it. Also, I forgot to mention this, but after the Frieza raid, after the hour, Cell raid comes like 30 minutes. So if it's like 9 o'clock, that's Frieza. And then like 9 o'clock and 30 minutes, 9:30, that's Cell. I just wanted to enter that in real quick. Back to the planet talk. There isn't one perfect planet, as each one of them have their own pros and cons, more so their own traits. For example, while Polaris seems like Jesus' second coming, as you can fight with your shadow and get BP with extreme temperature, plus there's even a quest board which, IMO, if you're starting off and you do the advanced missions, I recommend canceling and accepting the quest until it says to defeat 10 enemies, as while 8 doesn't sound too bad, they're more harder and annoying, despite the lower number. So for a smarter and not harder, just do the 10, and then later on, if you get an AoE move, which that means that you attack all, then go ahead and work to the 8. But despite all of that, there's 2 things that you'll run to on Polaris. 2 problems. One of them is that you have some 13-year-old child thinking he has to role play as race, and heavens forbid you're African American, as you'll be called a black sand monkey from a Frieza race. Or you'll have kids genuinely thinking that they're the creators of the Zero Freshie plan and exterminate anyone who goes against their egotistical plans. But more importantly, there's no food stand. You can't get no food for Beerus or Broly. In order to do the quest for Broly and Beerus to fight them, you need an energy bar and pudding. But there's no food stand. Which is terrible! Luckily, I know of a planet. A magical place with magical charms. Majin Buu Planet. On that planet, you'll run into less people, and if there's anybody there, most of the times, it's usually doing the quest board and, getting some zenny, whatever it is that they're trying to do. But in your case, it's for food, right? It's a really great planet for doing quests and IMO. It is extremely underrated. Hey, the swag, bro, you could just go to Earth and do it there. Again, less people on the Majin Buu planet, so you want to worry about in the possibility of getting gripped, which is basically getting ended, kind of deal. Now, I know you goofy goobers are probably going all around, training on Polaris and all these planets and stuff like that, and you're probably looking on the bottom right with all these notifications telling you about this thing called fatigue, and you're probably coming back asking me, Swag bro, what's this thing called fatigue mean, man? Well, basically, my brother, if the number gets to 100%, you literally die, and you lose a life. If you lose all your lives, you go back to King Kai's planet, and you lose 10% of battle power. So, while you're training, the game will let you know that you're getting near the point of exhaustion. So the recommended stopping point, if you're wondering what it is at 95%, and then fully sleep so you can keep on training. And if you're a Saiyan, you'll get a Zenkai boost from that. It's a really good way to keep people from simply just leaving an auto clicker and calling it a day. Now for other races, the fatigue thing kind of works a little differently. For example, Sphinx can just sleep, and they just get their power immediately regardless of if they have to be at 95 or the near brink of death. Different races work with different ways of fatigue. Make sure to I'd say experiment a little bit with it, because I don't really know all the races. I only know a few. And you're probably ever one of the individuals that's like, oh man, I won't be able to catch up with these people, or I won't have a really good thing. Look, if you're ever worried about being behind, they thankfully made a story mode where all the past Dragon Ball characters get stronger, and as of currently, I think it gives around 80 to 200,000 BP. But right now, it stops at the end of the Saiyan saga. But Bane will add more, sagas in the future. Man, oh man, oh man. I gotta tell you. Raids, collecting Dragon Balls, gravity chambers, training on different planets, different little knickknacks and paddywhacks and more. For a solo dev especially, you've really, really, really outdone yourself. Hands down, flat. However, with that being said, while this game does have its highs, it has its lows. The bad. Alright, picture this. Imagine you finally got past 50k BP, after doing a story quest, and you're feeling pretty good about yourself, grinding for that time, and your training's going pretty well. You don't have that freshie privilege anymore though, as you got past that 50k BP, right? So you feel pretty good. And then some random dude attacks you and grips you for no reason. And while that's pretty dumb on its own, that you can get one-shotted and gripped by a player who's millions but billions above your power level, said player can also steal not only your hard-earned money, but also your Dragon Balls. That is the most restarted, stupidest thing, considering that the game explicitly states that, oh, thumb times BP isn't the only determining factor in a fight. Yeah, right. And me dying to a dude I wouldn't have known wanted to hurt me, or if I prepped for, wouldn't have been able to face off because of his battle power. Apparently it's a skill issue. Even if you're the best Budokai Z player, you'll never be able to beat, or even compete, bars, with these kind of dudes. Unless they're low, they lower their battle power. And that's as likely as me enjoying a game of Siege. Them lowering their battle power, that's not happening. Speaking about fighting and, using combos, there's a few problems I have with it. For one, sometimes when I press Alt to kick, sometimes the Alt key won't work. And it makes a random window noise every single time that I try to do it. And that's very annoying. If you know why, please let me know down in the comment section. Another main thing is training-wise. Training-wise, it's really, 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 really extremely annoying sometimes with throwing hands because the game kind of like lags a little bit. And so because of that, it'll kind of make certain combos not really like constantly connect. And even when they do connect and you do push your enemies away, sometimes they'll just flick back and they'll just immediately rush. It's so stupid. Like you'll hit them with like a spirit bomb and they'll just flinch out the spirit bomb real quick. Or if you throw like a crusher ball and then they'll just hit their evasion and then you can't really do anything until the crusher ball comes backwards. It's a little stupid because sometimes you'll throw a combo and they'll just block every single thing and your stamina will go down. And then you try to do the same thing and either you won't get it or you will get all of them off and then you try to go for your combo and then they'll still come back at you. It's like, why? It's so annoying. Thankfully, I don't have to worry about that too much, now with my battle power. But back then, that was so annoying on Don't Hold Me Back. It was like, bro, come on. Also, a little pro tip, if you're ever leeching, I know this is like random, but you want to do the left, and right combo, as it's the most safe to not launch the person you're leeching onto. Oh, and if he's being launched, then on the last attack, when you launch him, look away so you don't send the leecher flying. So like when you're doing the little rush combo and you do the last punch, before you're about to do the last punch, turn around and then you'll do it. Even if you're doing the constant like boom, 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 just turn around real quick and you won't launch them. And, if I'm just also kind of throwing this in there, is that during the story, whenever you defeat a person, you can't move for like 20 seconds, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I can still interact with the person near me. So I can still like continue with the quest kind of if I'm in his range. Because, and even for quests, if you're not directly near the object or whatever, you won't keep the conversation going or be able to accept the quest. Which, while makes sense for a talking part, I suppose, does it really have to be that way for the quests? It's not like we're accepting it, while talking to someone, right? It's literally just on a board. You know what I mean? Why can't I accept it through my scouters? And also another thing, scouters, why do they literally cap out at 999k BP? Why don't they cap out at like 9.99 million? Because by then, if you're already in the double digits, that's tough. Or why not cap out at like 100 million? No one's really gotten that far. It would make certain things be a little bit better, guesstimation wise, in my honest opinion. Also, this game does have a few glitches. One main glitch that I can really tell you off the top of my head is that if you go to a Frieza raid or a Cell raid, at any point during any part of the cutscene, even if it's not like a big cutscene, you can literally just press tab and then click skill tree and the game will like bug out like crazy. It's actually kind of an advantage move because on the Frieza like raid, you're able to actually get to the ship a lot faster, like way faster. And that shouldn't really be a thing. Also, Bane, I'm pretty sure you already know this at this point, but there's literally a spot that you can easily just glitch for the Frieza. You literally can just stand behind this Namekian home, or literally just stand on top of the Frieza ship, and you don't really have to worry about getting hurt by Frieza at all, really, as long as you just cheese it right. So you might want to try to like fix the way how Frieza spawns in before it's too late. And I know I kind of glossed this over a little bit earlier, but there's only 3 lives in this game, right? And there's only 3 ways that you could really lose your life. The first one is getting gripped by a player, after having over 50% fatigue. The second one is getting combat logged, meaning if someone like punches you or they instigate into combat and it says like some random text up on top, if you leave, you lose a life. And then the last one is if you go all the way off the map, out of the bounds, and then you fall, you can lose a life. Now, while the last one isn't that bad compared to the other 2, these other 2 are still terrible. As even if someone accidentally hits you and you're about to leave, or if you disconnect for some reason, you'll lose a life. And I know there's really going to be that one dude that's going to tell me, "Hey, Swag bro, your lives regenerate, so there's really nothing to worry about right there, mate." And I have something to tell you as well. Yes, your lives do regenerate, but only after 3,000 seconds, bro. For the logical people, asking why I said it like that, because the game says it like that. I don't know why they didn't just put it as minutes. Like, you could have easily just said minutes. Why would you say 3,000 seconds? Like, because who on earth is going to know that off rip? As someone who hates math as much as these 2 games right here, why didn't you just say 50 minutes? It's 50 minutes, by the way. I know you wouldn't know that, and that's okay. Because I don't know why the game... what caused you to think that wouldn't sound worse? 3,000 seconds sounds like a nightmare too. But that's besides the point. Another point I want to mention is that you know how in most games that when you die and you come back, you know, you'll be invincible for a little bit, or that you'll have your PvP shield so that way you won't get immediately jumped off rip? Well, since this game wants to be a hardcore game in a Dragon Ball Z universe, that luxury doesn't exist. Some think this is me being soft, and that I can't handle getting attacked. And while that hasn't happened to me, I can guarantee you that by not having this in your game, you're basically incentivizing people to just search for your aura the moment you get back in the game and grip you again, as the spawn locations are set. So that means you could just stand near one of the spawn locations that you already know of, right? And just wait until the said person comes back. Or, since you'll have key sense at this time, you can just track them down way easier and make them lose all their lives. Just keep gripping them over and over and over again. Just keep tracking their spots and just beating them up over and over and over again. Like, yeah, that's definitely fun. That's definitely fun for somebody who wants to immediately play your game. At that point, the logical thing would be to just block the person and you'll never have to see them again. But it shouldn't be like that, as isn't the whole point of the game supposed to bring people together or something? Isn't that the whole point? I'm not telling you, the player, that you should be some goody two-shoes, and sing, Christmas carols, Misky Mouse, Misky Mouse. But I think that there could be a few changes that could be a little bit better for the game, just saying. Quest. One of these main changes that I would mainly say is, why isn't there a Zenny storage? Seriously, there's not a Zenny storage. So when people just immediately, grip you and stuff like that, why can't I just put most of my money away? And if I want to, go pay for something, I can extract that Zenny and still have the chance of getting gripped. That way, I'll at least still have money left over and be like, oh, well, at least I got $1 million, saved up. And not instantly think, oh, dang, my Zenny could just all be taken right here and there. All my $1 million. I could just put it away a little bit and then grab like 1,000 if I need it. Because, you can still have that system where if you want people to grip and stuff, just let me grab my Zenny that I need and then go to the gravity chamber or whatever. That could be a thing. Another thing that I would say is also kind of a little bit controversial if I say this, a private server. Now I know why, oh, I don't want, people, sitting there and just training endlessly without having some kind of like fighting. And I understand that yes, it's a Dragon Ball Z game and you're expected to fight people and stuff like that. But what about it for like role players? You know what I mean? Like, you could kind of get them, like, all to be, like, in one location, and it would run a little bit better, so you can have, like, 10v10 v10s or whatever you really want to and just all jump each other, because, like, certain servers have, like, certain, like, limitations, so by you having a private server, you might be able to, like, increase that amount of numbers, and that's just a thought. A main thing I would mainly want to say, favoriting items. You can't favorite your items. So when you go into your inventory, all you see is every single thing. There is no way to actually know where your foods are, where your clothes are, where your scrolls are, where your key items are. There's no way of knowing that. It's just all one long big list. It's like, why not just put little icons? I can see it in my head, just little icons of maybe like a coat hanger or a senzu bean or a Dragon Ball or a key, right? That would be really cool because it would keep many things organized. And you can have an all section where you can have all your stuff. That'd be fine. But having everything just scattered out like that doesn't make any sense. You know what else doesn't make any sense? Loadouts. There's no way to actually have a loadout in your game. So like if I wanted to put on like my Xenogear and stuff like that, I had to manually go through the egregious, no favoriting items having thing. So if I accidentally delete something, just be deleted forever. My bad that I didn't pay attention, yada yada yada, right? So I have to manually go select my Xenogear, select my Ring Halo, and select my Scouter. And then, oh no, if I want to train, gotta unselect those, gotta go to my full body weight, and gotta go to my Sword of Hope. And it's like, why should I have to swap from my fit active gear, my fit gear, I'm ready to throw some hands, into my training gear? I have to keep manually swapping them over and over and over again. It shouldn't even have to be that way. Another thing that I would think would be really cool, I guess PvP wise, is that if many battles, if it ever came to an instigation, would be more like the Borderlands duel mechanic. Like if I hit you and then, you hit me, then we can both start fighting. Because people just immediately just blasting you off rip and then gripping you is one of the most stupidest things you could do. And the worst part is you could just blast somebody and then immediately give them the 50 fatigue, rush up to them again, blast them. I think that's a really stupid way. I personally think that the Borderlands mechanic, how they did it with the duels, I think that's a more cooler way. Or at least more like a agreeable way. Another thing I would also say is maybe a PvP shield for like a few minutes at least. Like, come on. I understand this is a Dragon Ball Z game and stuff like that, but like the last point, kinda crazy that, we can just get jumped off rip and not have any sort of compensation. It's kinda crazy, especially when we can't do anything about it. This one's kind of a weird spitball. Living spaces, I guess. Maybe can I get like a house? I wanna be able to put like a house, maybe like put like a few like Dragon Balls like on a podium or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. I guess if you're really, because I think I heard him like in another video say like he kind of wanted to like ease on the PvP kind of stuff, like the hardcore mess. So you probably can make like PvP areas. Maybe you can make like the Cell games like a full-on tournament kind of thing. I don't know how that would work. But outside of all the fighting and stuff, could you make the morality have a purpose? Like maybe what trainers you can go to outside of whether you go to Heaven or HE double hockey sticks? Because, I mean, like, what's really stopping me from just being the most arrogant D word for no reason? There's nothing that really stops me from being just an arrogant jerkwad. I could just go blast people all I want to, grip them all I want to. If I'm strong enough, I could just go do that over and over and over again. At least, like, maybe can I go, like, maybe there could be, like, a buff for it or something like that, or a nerf, or a buff, right? Or if I'm good, there could be a buff or a nerf or something like that. It would make things a lot more smooth if you want to be, like, a good guy or a bad guy. That'd be kind of cool. And the last one I really have for a little thing I'd hope is, like, weather adaptable clothes. I know it sounds stupid because the whole point is for training, but it'd be kind of funny if you could like pull off a winter jacket, like slap it on, and then you will like not really have any temperature conditions or something like that. That one's kind of weird. I was just throwing that one in there, but yeah, that's what's up. Oh, and the scouter reading, past 999k BP, when it's fully upgraded, because at that point anybody that passed 10 mil should definitely go outside and touch grass. I don't care whoever you are. That's too much BP. Oh, and for Saiyans, why do we have tails, but we can't even go to grade 8? Like, Vegeta can go grade 8, and his picture icon changes from a grade 8 to a regular Vegeta. So, why can't we simply go to grade 8? Or at the very least, why can't we go to Super Saiyan 4? I really wish that there was an option where you can, like, take off your tail. Or, something along the lines of that. If you're going to make me have my tail, then at least let me like turn Super Saiyan 4 or grade 8 or grade 8 Super Saiyan. That would be nice. The journey. Man, I'll tell you, the experience is one I will truly remember, from its terrible, tough times to its extremely greater, best times. I know he can't control his community, and I heard from a video that he wants to make the game not have that outdated, hardcore mode. And that's great and all. But I feel like his problem is that he listens way too much to his community. Wait, hold on. Negre, hear me out. Apex, right? In the beginning, it was a great game, especially as someone who is not a big fan of shooters, as I love having abilities to at least compensate for a lack of aim. The game was smooth, fights felt fair, and things ran on my Samsung Galaxy J3 Eclipse's hotspot in the middle of nowhere. Tejas, surrounded by trees, and it was schmoove. But then they listened to their pro players, aka the people who will play your game no matter what condition it is in. They were saying, "Oh, the game bad enough this," and they would. And then the pros wouldn't like that, and they would say, "The game bad, buff this," and then they would, and the cycle would just keep continuing, over and over and over and over and over and over again. Complimented with bugs, Fedo's getting scammed out of his money in-game from EA. I don't know why he didn't sue, as he could have legitimately gone to court with this, for what they did to him. But I guess he Richie Rich or something like that. With all these things and more, that game became mid.
Bye, bro. I don't think that was a really good example.
Okay, you don't think that's a good enough example? Alright. Take a look at Fortnite. Since Season 4, when I got this game on my Switch, I've gotten every single victory glider known to this game with my little cousins getting me a win, as I've had no luck since I ran 20 squad matches in a row with people throwing the game at the top 3 and emoting towards every single enemy every single time. I'm super glad that they got me that win this season. But back to my point, Fortnite. I love Fortnite no matter what conditions it was in, until Season 9, where around this time, I felt like the game was getting kind of mid. And also around this time, that's when I was getting into Borderlands, and I decided to give P5 a try in July of 2019. Anyway, the devs realized this and decided to implement Siphon. And basically, what it do is that for every elimination, you get a bit of health and shield back. Yes, this idea did divide a lot of people, but personally, I didn't think it was a bad idea. But Epic Games thought to themselves, oh dang, we might be carrying a little too much to the pros. And another staff member was like, well, what shall we do? And then Epic Games was like, well, let's add a mechanical teddy bear, so that way even a blind deaf person could do it and use the stinking thing without even looking at the monitor. And then they all said, that's a great idea! And because of that criminal decision, it made Season X to be one of the worst seasons ever. And while yes, I did get that win too, thankfully, I'll tell you that bear was really annoying. And when anyone else used it, it was annoying. But as per usual, when I want to get a get back or do the same thing as someone else, God uses me an example. And then they nerfed the bear, and then that day, apparently everyone knew how to counter it. Anyways, what I'm saying is that these are two situations where one game listened to their hardcore fans a bit too much, making it annoying for the casuals, and despite catering to them, would never please their loyal fans. And then you have another game where they tried to do the opposite, and it became aggravating for both the hardcore and the casual fans all at the same time. I know you can shrug this off as whatever, but Bane, if you're listening to this, take it from me. If you want your game to continue and to keep the cheese going, you need to find a balance between this of older and newer hardcore and casual players, because otherwise you're going to get into this Apex Fortnite / situation. If I came off as rude and a bit of a jerkwad, a meanie weenie pants, just know it's nothing towards you as a person. But as a creator of the game, I mean no ill will. I don't mean any harm. I want this game to prosper. And if being this harsh is what I have to be, then so be it. I want this game to succeed just as much as you do. Man, this room gets hot for no reason. In conclusion, Budokai Z is indeed a breath of fresh air compared to the other simulator Roblox games DBZ-wise, as it's not just punch, blast, sit-up. It adds variety in different ways to train. The community is pretty good, but you'll find a few bad apples in the orchard, and as a solo developer, he's doing extremely great for himself. However, just because he's working by himself doesn't excuse some of the problems with his game, from overgripping lives, money, and Dragon Balls, to the long and excessive grind of training in real life just to get only a few 100,000 BP. Also, just to get one shot by some random edgelord that'll camp out the spawns until you're at 0 lives. And no Clo, Goku fought and died to save the world from Raditz.
You quite literally think things will be handed to you. Goku did not have Beerus, and them come and look for him just to train him. Put it like this, Goku literally died. To get to King Kai's planet to train, you have to try to get stronger, bro. Die trying, or don't try at all.
He didn't know who King Kai was until he was told when he passed, so don't give me that tedious grind, because Goku had to literally die just to get stronger because somehow he knew of higher power when he went up there. Oh my god. In the end, the game can be better if he finds the middle of what he thinks is right and, listening here and there to a split audience. It's really up to him on how he wants to take this game. Keep it the same or make it the better version it can be. My final rating for this game is a ball of clay out of 10. Subscribble. Thank you all so much for watching this far. If you want any reviews for more Roblox games, let me know down in the comment section. Support the generic funding to keep more videos pumping out. Want to chat more? Hit the blue app. Touch the sub button, click the bell icon for notifications, and until then, this is Swag Brother Briss saying beware and take care.